Hello, in this second video of the chapter 17 foreign exchange market, and we're going to talk about what is the foreign exchange and what are the foreign exchange rates we're facing. What we're going to learn from this class first is called a foreign exchange market. Foreign exchange market. So when we look at foreign exchange market, there is one very important concept you have to know. What is the exchange rate? So exchange rate is the price of one currency in terms of another. So I want to give you an example to help you to understand this definition. So look at this web page. So this is the web page you should use to obtain the exchange rate to help to managing the foreign exchange you picked. That is related to your final grades bonus point. So here I'm looking at the exchange rate between US and Chinese yuan. So that is 7.04. So if you refresh your memory about the definition of the foreign exchange, so that is the price of one currency in terms of the other. How we apply this definition to this specified case. So $1 equal to 7.04 yuan. So which means the price of the US dollar in terms of the Chinese yuan will be 7. So which means if you give me $1 bill and you will receive 7 Chinese yuan back, 7 Chinese yuan back. So that is the foreign exchange rate, the price of one currency in terms of another. And so the foreign exchange rate is determined on the foreign exchange market. So foreign exchange market is the financial market where exchange rate are determined. So like I said, when you just think $1 equal to about 7 yuan, that price is determined on the foreign exchange market. So when we talk about foreign exchange market, we look at two different kind of transactions because you will have two different kind of exchange rate. So the first is called the spot transaction. So that is the immediate exchange of the bank deposit. So it usually happen within 2 days. So that rate you will get is called a spot exchange. However, sometimes the bank like to negotiate with each other and to get a loan, the further exchange rate. Like let's say in 2 or 3 months, what's going to be the exchange rate? So that is called a forward transaction. So the exchange rate the bank deposit at the same specified future date. And so the interest rate you will receive from this forward transaction is called a forward exchange rate. So next, we're going to look at if the foreign currency appreciated, depreciated, how will that affect the economy, domestic economy, and the foreign economy? So first of all, we have to understand what is called appreciation and what is called depreciation. So appreciation of the currency means a currency rise in value relative to another currency. So for instance, let's go back to this example again. So currently, $1 equal to 7 Chinese yuan. Let's see, last month, this number is not 7, it is 6.5. So which means $1 equal to 6.5 Chinese yuan. So after a month, $1 equal to 7 yuan. So the question here is American US dollar appreciated or depreciated? Yes, the answer is appreciated because $1 you will be able to obtain more Chinese yuan. That means the US dollar get more valuable. So in this situation, the US dollar will be considered as appreciated. So appreciated. So on the opposite scenario, if the currency fall in value relative to another currency, and we will call it depreciation of the currency. So in the example I just shown you, so last month $1 equal to 6.5 yuan, now $1 equals 7 yuan. So US dollar appreciated, and that means the Chinese yuan depreciated. So US dollar appreciated, Chinese yuan depreciated. So how will that affecting the economy, or how will that affecting the domestic market, the consumer on the domestic market? How will that affecting their purchasing decision making? So let's look at this example. So from February 16th to March 17th, how the exchange rate change will affect the purchasing decision made by the US tourists on Starbucks in Shanghai touring journal package. So which means you are actually going to go travel to China, and so visiting this Starbucks, and the Starbucks offering this special service product. Actually, you'll never see it in American, but you actually will be able to experience it if you get a chance to visit Shanghai, the largest Starbucks. So they're actually offering this called a tasting journey. So they're actually a tour package and talk about the history of the coffee and also teach you how to make coffee. So they have the 3 different packages. One is called Discovery, and one is called Explorer, and the last one is called Adventurer. So the first 2 packages are the same price. They are denominated in the Chinese yuan. That is 298 yuan. And so the last package is a little bit pricey. That is 328 yuan. And so if you're a U.S. tourist, that means you're holding the U.S. dollar. And so before you take off, you're going to exchange it to the Chinese yuan and then go purchase in China. So the reason we talk about time is because February 16 to February 17, actually, the exchange rate changed. So let me show you the changes of the exchange rate. So February 16, 2020, so $1 equal to 6.98642 yuan. And so move on to March 17th, 2020. So $1 equal to $7.00713 yuan. So first of all, is a US dollar appreciated or depreciated? Yes, US dollar appreciated because $1 will be able to receive more Chinese yuan. That means US dollar get relatively more valuable than the Chinese yuan. So now the question here is, if the US dollar appreciated in this situation, will the U.S. tourists more likely to purchase the touring journey package in Chinese Starbucks? So to answer this question, we have to know how to convert this 298 or 328 back to the US dollar. To do this practice, you have to know the formula that can convert the Chinese yuan, the goods denominated in the Chinese yuan, back to the US dollar. So let's do this practice together. So in order to do the calculation, you have to remember this formula. So this price equal to the price in Chinese yuan and then divide by the foreign exchange. So foreign exchange, and then you will be able to convert the product denoted in the Chinese yuan back to the US dollar, So let's see, for the tour package called the Discovery and Explorer, they charge the same price. So how will that equal to the US dollar in February, on February 16th? So let's do this practice. Follow the formula equal to the price. So 298 and then divided by 6.98642. So that is equal to $42.65. Actually, it's kind of pricey, right? And let's see, after we change into March, on March 17th, if the tour package's price still cost 298 yuan, how will that equal to in US dollars? So equal to 298 divided by 7.00713. So it is equal to $42.52. It's relatively cheaper, but if you're U.S. tourism, so for you it's get relatively cheaper. So U.S. tourists is more likely to purchase the goods because the this kind of foreign goods get relatively cheaper. So the domestic currency appreciated and the foreign goods get relatively cheaper. So this is just one case, and obviously you can look at Adventure 328. And so to summarize what we just discussed, and actually the economists get a conclusion about what we just found. So when the country's currency depreciated and the country's goods become less expensive to foreigners, just like the Chinese, when the case we look at, the Chinese dollar, Chinese yuan is depreciated. So the Chinese goods, so those tour packages, less expensive to foreigners, so to you guys, because you're considered a foreigner to the Chinese. And so, and the foreign goods is that the country become more expensive to the domestic economic agent. So if you look at the opposite scenario, when the country's currency appreciated, like the previous cases, like US dollar is appreciated, the country's goods become more expensive to foreign, and the foreign goods, which is the tour packages in the Starbucks in China, so those foreign goods in the country become less expensive to the domestic economic agents. So you can see appreciating, depreciating is not just changing numbers. Actually, it will affecting the purchasing behavior of the domestic consumer and the consumer on the international market. So after we understand impact, appreciation, depreciation of the currency affecting the purchasing behavior of consumer, next we're going to look at is where can we find foreign exchange. So actually, majority of the foreign exchange is happening on the over-the-counter market, and you actually won't be able to get involved. Usually involved by the big banks. So the big banks, the banks are communicating with each other. So the domestic bank communicating with the international bank. So let's say the U.S. bank needed some Chinese currencies, and so they won't now just talk to the Chinese people. They actually talk to the bank in China. And the second, you need to pay attention that when the bank talk to each other, acquiring each other's currency, they are not, let's say the U.S. bank pull a bucket of a giant bag and put all U.S. currency in it and ship to China and ask the Chinese bank ship a bunch of Chinese currency to U.S. So that's not how it works. So actually everything happening on the internet, on the telecommunication. So nothing is physical happen. So then your question is how this foreign exchange market is treated. So actually how bank is communicating with each other is using the financial tool we learned is called deposit. And so when they are thinking to acquiring, let's say need a Chinese currency, what they're gonna do, they're gonna go to the international foreign exchange market. They will purchase the deposit denominated in the Chinese yuan. So deposit in the Chinese yuan. So they are not actually physically trading currencies. So actually this market is very lively. So have a large volume trading happen every day. So on average, per day, there is exceeding 5 trillion transaction happening on this foreign exchange market. Huge amount. So now some students are going to ask me, how about I go to China? I want to buy this beautiful pair of shoes. How are you gonna get money to buy these shoes? Because if you go to China, you show them the U.S. dollar, you actually won't be the seller won't actually accept it because the domestic people only accept the Chinese yuan. So for you, how are you gonna get the real Chinese currency? So actually, you won't have opportunity to buy this kind of deposit denoting the Chinese yuan because everything is handled by the banks. So if you're going to study abroad and you need foreign currencies, you actually have to go to the retailer market. So individual traveler buy foreign currency in the retail market, like the banks. So for instance, like my student went to China with me, I believe like 3 or 4 months before they take off, they called their bankers, either Northwest or the PNC Bank, and asked them to let them know they need 2,000 Chinese yuan. We will be able to get it for them, and then after 1 or 2 weeks, they go to the bank, give the banker the US dollars equivalent, and then get a Chinese yuan. So actually, everybody getting the foreign currency in the retail market. And so one thing you have to pay attention, if you look at a foreign exchanging rate, like the website recommended, also you can Google search it. So that exchanging rate is for the OTC market, or the counter market. So the real exchange rate you will receive from retail banks will be higher. So let's say you see $1 equal to 7 yuan on that website, right? And so however, if you really go to a different bank, you might notice that your $1 can only receive 6.8 yuan. The reason because you are on the retail market, you are not on the OTC market. So that's why the OTC market is the benchmark, and when you go to the retail market, you will receive less foreign currencies. So that's something you have to pay attention. So in our next video, what we're going to look at is what actually affecting the foreign exchange rate change in the short run and in the long run.